live. Are we live? Can you tell me, Michelle, if we're live?
It's not showing me. Oh, yep, we're live.
All right. Hello, everyone. Please forgive the croakiness and the voice and all of that again. I shall be coughing from time to time, but I'm 1,000% better than I was, excuse me, than I was last week. So we are back with our show, Hands Around the World, Healing Hands Around the World, where we join with people from all over the world. We join literally, in this way, we join hands with everyone who wants to join in and to join with us to send healing. And we do this on a daily basis. So before I go any further with any of that, first of all, I just would like to say hello to my spirit guide, Gregor, who is, as always, standing to my right side. My puppy, I'm whispering a little bit. Not that it's any point in not whispering, because he's as deaf as a post, but Cachorro is laid sound asleep on the sofa next to me, and I'm not going to disturb him. And I have Michelle say good morning, good afternoon, Michelle.
Good afternoon.
Excuse me. Sorry, who is sitting opposite me. And we're hoping to have a really good show. Today we're inviting you, as we always do, to make your comments and to, if you've got any questions or anything that you would like to know about, anything at all, or perhaps even a story that you might want to tell us. We're inviting you to join with us. How do they join, Michelle? Can you help people to say how they can join in there with their questions, please?
All they have to do is type it into the chat box, and I'll get it right away, and I'll ask the question as soon as I'm able.
So there's a chat box.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a chat box. So, and I think one person has already come up to chat. We're going to talk a little bit, then we're going to do some healing, as always. During our healing sessions, I'm going to ask you to refrain, if you can, from, well, actually, you can still ask questions if you must, but we've got plenty of time before and after we do our healing session. So if you could, if you're chatting during our healing session, it means that you're not participating in the healing itself, and that would be, that would be silly of you to not participate, wouldn't it? So I'll tell you when to not chat anymore, and then I'll tell you when you can chat away. I know that we've got a couple of people on. Do you want to start? Shall we start with that, Michelle, and see? Is there anybody there? I can see things popping up on my screen. So.
We do have a couple people with us, but the chat's not very chatty right now.
Oh, the chat's not chatty. Okay, all right. Well, okay then. It's so funny because last week it seemed like we had hardly anybody watching the show, and as soon as I cut off, it told me that there were 74 people in that one moment who were watching the show. So, it seems like there's nobody, and then all of a sudden you realise that there are people out there who are just not participating necessarily, but just simply watching. So let me say hello to all of you who prefer not to participate, but I do welcome you to participate if there is a question. Now, excuse me, I've been talking to you about, when we begin healing, I always ask my patients to sit, in a nice, comfy, straight back chair, or you can lay down, palms upwards in your hands. And I thought I'd talk about the reason that I do that, because it's all about energy. Everything we do and everything we know and everything we are and everything about this planet and indeed the universe and the many universes that are out there, it's everything, excuse me, everything is about the energy that we radiate, the energy that comes from our mind, from our soul, from our spiritual self. Every one of us radiates a certain type of energy. Now, when a healer is working and giving healing, then of course that person is radiating that incredible, beautiful healing energy, which can go out, and it's a little bit like, waves, electrical waves going out into the universe. And those waves, if we're thinking about a particular person, for instance, if I'm thinking about my friend Kay, for instance, in England, and I'm sending out healing and healing thoughts, those vibrations, those wavelengths, they will just go out there into the universe, and as I'm thinking about that person, they will reach that person and touch that person, and that person therefore will get a little of my energy, and hopefully will be able to absorb that energy. Now, this kind of thing, it works with positive energy, of course. It also works with negative energy. There are lots of people who email us who say, you know, I think somebody's put a hex on me, or you know, somebody's sending me bad vibes, that sort of thing. And of course it is actually possible that people can do that, because if a person's energy or power source within them is so strong and so powerful, when we put that out and we put those thoughts out there and we send that energy out there, then of course, obviously, it can affect the person we're thinking about, either in a good way or adversely. So this is why I think it's always important, and I encourage people to give themselves healing every day, to think positive thoughts every day, because whatever you're building your own energy, whatever you're creating your own positive energy, that negative energy, those negative vibes, as we call them, can't touch you if you are strong enough and, you know, powerful enough within your own self. And when I say powerful enough, I don't mean that you've got to be superhuman or anything like that. Thinking good thoughts, thinking nice thoughts, thinking kind thoughts, as opposed to thinking negative thoughts, because again, we all know that like attracts like, and if you're a person who's thinking negative thoughts and somebody else is sending out negative thoughts to you, it's going to act a little bit like a magnet, isn't it? You know, the negative energy connects with the negative energy, and that's when people find themselves in trouble, or they find themselves confused, or they you know, they have a depressing day or a down day. If they're feeling negative and somebody else is also sending negative thoughts to them, it can have a really strong, really adverse effect on us as individuals. So again, how important is it to give healing to ourselves? How important is it for, if you can reach a healer, if you can find a healer who can perhaps give you something on a daily basis. You know, it's a little bit about preventative medicines. I approve of preventative medicines, but I also approve of healing on a daily basis, because I really believe that it's a preventative against negative energy or negative thoughts. It's a preventative that keeps you healthy in your mind, in your spirit, and therefore also in your physical body. So, you know, healing is not just, you know, me sending out thoughts to you and you receiving them. There's much more to it than that. When I ask people to put their hands up like this on their laps, I think we've talked about this before. Within each palm, with each of our palms, our palm centers, there are these little tiny chakra points. Chakra, a Hindu word, simply meaning spinning wheel. So if you look at your palms and you think, you know, what's that chakra doing? It's actually turning and spinning, as are all our energy centers, as are all our energy points. We have the top chakra. We have the chakra known as the third eye. We have the throat chakra. We have the chakra which is centered right smack in the middle of the solar plexus. Now, the throat chakra, most people have used without even thinking about it. You know, when you get choked up or emotional, you'll feel that clogging, and that's when your chakra point, your energy point, is, instead of turning smoothly as it should, that energy center turning smoothly and easily, will get clogged. And that's when we get emotionally, you know, sort of very, very clogged up. And again, a lot of people have definitely had the experience of using the chakra within the solar plexus, seated within the solar plexus, feeling nauseous, feeling sick, butterflies in the tummy, that sort of thing. We've all experienced those, the throat chakra and the solar plexus chakra, without even thinking about it. But there are other chakras. There are 7 main chakra points. So again, the one in the top chakra, the crown chakra, the third eye, which is where, you know, our imagination springs from, but also where we can often see beyond this ordinary physical world of ours. The throat chakra, the chakra that seats itself in the solar plexus. The base of the spine is the seventh chakra, and as a student of mine once put it, there is another chakra that, you know, nobody quite knows how to say where it is, but let's put it as a student of mine once said, down in the forest, and you can work that out for yourself. So it's right there in that, you know, in that area where there's you know, if you're lucky enough, you get a lot of sexual satisfaction. It's an energy point. It's a chakra point that turns and spins and so on. So, you know, chakra points, energy points are very important to us, and energy itself is very important. When I get my students or my patients to use their palm centers, and in fact my online class, we've just been doing exactly this. We've been using and experiencing, I've been teaching them how to experience those palm centers, using visualization techniques, visualizing color, and with healing we always use the color blue, often the color gold, because gold is a very spiritual color. Silver is also a very spiritual color, and I personally love to dot in a little bit of pink because pink is the color of love. So when I'm sending healing to people, I visualize sending out blue energy, blue good healing energy, which comes from me, vibrations, those energy waves going out into the universe and reaching anyone who wishes to capture them. They are there for you. When I say to people, I'm here for you and I'm sending you healing, what I'm saying is I'm sending my healing energy, that blue, beautiful healing energy that most healers, you know, throughout the world will use the color blue and know that the color blue is the universal healing color. So with the palm centers, basically when we sit like this with our palms up, I always call it the receiving position, because we are then receiving energy through our palm centers, but we can also give out energy through our palm centers. I know it sounds a bit weird and a bit strange, but what I'd like you to do today, as we're doing our healing, I'd like you to also, even when I say to you, you know, put your palms up in a receiving position, I'd also like you to think about your solar plexus, because as you breathe and breathe gently, and as I say to you, close your eyes, breathe in, pull in through your solar plexus. What it does is it encourages the solar plexus, that chakra point within the solar plexus, it encourages it to turn, it encourages it to move, it encourages it to grow. In other words, we are encouraging our energy to grow, to develop, and that way the more we get, the more we develop our energy, and the more we combine our energy with that God force, that God energy that is out there, the more we have to give, the more we can throw out to you, the more energy waves we can put out to you all, and the more you can receive. But in order to receive fully, if you can sort of use that solar plexus chakra, think about it. When you close your eyes, think about it spinning and turning. It is going to receive as much healing energy as you can possibly get. And when I say to you, breathe in, hold it, what I'm saying is breathe in that energy, hold that healing energy to you, within you. Let it work for you. Let it permeate throughout your body, throughout your physical self. But also, as we're doing it for the physical self, we're also doing it on a spiritual level. Our soul, first and foremost, is the thing that we need to give healing to the most. So feeding our soul feeds our mind, feeds our sensitivities, feeds our energy, gives us calm, gives us peace, and helps us to relax. And once we are understanding that we're feeding the soul, that we're encouraging the soul to grow, to be nurtured, to be loved, to be recognized. Once we acknowledge the soul in this way, then, and we get the energy flowing within us as we can do, then the physical, often that energy that we draw into us, will affect the physical self, will affect us emotionally in a very positive, in a very powerful way. So the caution is, try not to think too many negative thoughts. You know, everything is attitude. And even if you're having a bad day, thinking about something good in the day or something good that you can smile about is really, really helpful. There are those people out there who like to put out those negative vibes, and there are people who do it deliberately, but there are also people who do it without even realizing it. When you have someone come to your house, you might be feeling great. They come in, they're depressed, they leave, and you're depressed as well. You don't know quite why. It's because their energy has touched you and affected you. So we have to understand we don't need to allow it. We don't need to allow other people to affect us in an adverse way, as long as we know how to build our energy, as long as we know what to do, as long as we know how to create this beautiful, beautiful healing process. So let's find let's find that spot, shall we? And let's go into our healing session. So if you can refrain from texting, asking questions or anything like that for the next 5 or 10 minutes, and then just go plow away, get on with it, do what you like.
There's one question that was asked before about the chakras.
Well, I'm going to go into the healing session, so we'll get to the questions when we've done the healing session. And again, it's only going to take 5 minutes or maybe 6 or something. You don't need very long to do it. And with the technology that we have today, I just talked about as having healing on a daily basis as a preventative. Well, guess what? All you have to do is tune in to me or to someone like me, because I know other people do the same sort of things, similar sorts of things. So you can get your healing. You can fast forward through all the blurb, and just come to the healing session. If you don't want to listen to all that blurb all over again, you can just simply just relax. Let's find a chair to sit in, shall we? Or a bed to lie on, whichever it is you prefer. Sit with your feet firmly on the ground, hands, palms upwards on your lap, please, and closing your eyes, and begin to breathe. Begin to breathe through your solar plexus. Remember, it is a major chakra point. It's a major point of energy. It's your energy, I might say. It's the same as my spinning wheel. My chakra point is my energy. I can make it as good and as positive and as powerful, thinking and visualizing of blues and pinks and golds. I can make it into a really beautiful humming energy that is filling me. So let's try that. Closing your eyes and breathing in through your solar plexus. Pull in at that point, that point where you sort of get butterflies in the tummy. Pull in right in there, because that's where your chakra point is seated. Pull it in. And visualize, think love, think healing, think beautiful things, think God energy. Whatever it is you're thinking about or visualizing, try to visualize within that the color blue, and know that healing is coming right at you. You can give yourself healing by doing this, but also why not combine what you can do for yourself with what I'm doing, with what all of my students are doing, with what everyone who joins in this Hands Around the World healing experience, what everyone is sending out into the universe. So as we're breathing in, as I am breathing in, I'm breathing in and building and visualizing, creating that beautiful, beautiful healing energy, which is literally lifting off of me. Remember, the aura, the energy field around us is several feet wide around us, which means that if we're sitting with someone else, if we're with someone else, their energy field and our energy field, they collide, they're touching, they're melding. Make sure yours is the more positive. Make sure yours is the better. Make sure, think of the color blue, think of the color gold, think of that God energy, and visualize, try to visualize with your eyes closed that a beautiful blue jug of water which is being poured from that God energy right down into your chakra point, your crown chakra. Breathe it in. Visualize it filling you up. Visualize it filling you up until you can't stand it any longer. You're going to burst, you're going to explode. And then let it flow out of you through your palm centers, through your fingertips, in whatever way. And relax and relax. I'm going to try it once more. And then we're going to have a little bit of quiet while you all try it again on your own. So, all right, so hands, palms upwards on your lap. You're going to use your solar plexus. You're going to breathe in through that solar plexus. You're going to, as you're breathing in, you're going to be breathing in, visualizing that you're breathing in the color blue. You're breathing in energy, which is pure healing energy. You're going to connect with that God force, which is all around us, even if we can't feel it very often. It's all around us and giving to us when we need it. So breathe it in, fill yourself up. Now visualize, if you can, this beautiful jug of blue liquid coming down and being poured right into that crown chakra. It's going to fill you. So not only are you being filled through your solar plexus, you're being filled from the top as well, and you're going to get fuller and fuller of the joy and the beauty of healing, that blue healing liquid, that blue healing energy, which is going to flow through you. And when you feel that you can't stand it any longer and you're going to burst with this beautiful blue energy, relax, calm, visualize the blue energy flowing from your palm centers, flowing through your fingertips, flowing through every single part of you. Now we're going to do that one more time, but what I want you to do when we do this again, yes, we're thinking of the physical body. Yes, we want the physical body to be healed. But let's add another little thing to the mix, because we're now thinking that actually that blue energy that we're filling up and filling into us and building is going to be feeding our soul, because our soul is the most important thing. So breathing in through your solar plexus, gently. Hands palms upwards on your lap in a receiving position. This energy is going to come through those palm centers. It's going to come through your solar plexus chakra. It's going to fill you up and fill you up and fill you up. And it is there to feed your soul. Your soul is this beautiful thing, sometimes neglected, sometimes not. But your soul is you. It is the real you inside. You're going to give healing to your soul. Now visualize that blue liquid being poured from on high, coming from that God force. And you're going to visualize that blue liquid pouring in through your crown chakra. Eyes closed, just let it happen, let it flow. Just let it be, let it go. And when you feel that you're filling and you're almost bursting, your soul is feeding from this blue energy, from this blue, beautiful God force that you're giving to it, that I am sending to you, that all of us who are participating are sending to all of you. You are giving to you too. We are a team. We give, let it flow. Just absorb it. Take as much as you possibly can into you. When you're ready, Allow it to flow through you, flow through your body, flow through every part of you, and then out. And out through your palm centers, out through your fingertips. And breathe. And breathe. And relax. Now, some of you may not have been able to do this. You might be completely confused by what I've said to you. So keep watching this and keep doing what I'm telling you to do, because this, you can't hope to necessarily feel anything or sense anything the first time you do this. You can't hope to have instant, although some people do. But some people, most people, it takes a little while to do this. Let's try this one more time, just one more time. And breathing in, I know you thought I'd finished with it, but I've not. So you should still be in a nice, relaxed state. Breathing in through your solar plexus, breathing in. And when you feel ready to do it, visualize that beautiful blue liquid that is being poured straight through your crown chakra, which should be spinning and opening and willing to take in this beautiful, positive, blue, gold, pink healing energy. The color blue is the universal healing color. If it suits you, or if you can only manage one color at a time, really that's okay. Just breathe in. If you're a person who you don't want to try it for yourself, or you're a bit nervous about trying it, then just take from me. That's okay too, because I'm sending healing out into the universe. I'm sending it to wherever it needs to go. God directs it, I don't. God directs my energy. That God force will bring it to you. If you ask for it, it will be given to you. Not a doubt in my mind. All you have to do is say, dear God, please allow me to be a part of the healing process. Please allow me to participate in this healing. Allow me to be a patient or a healer. And wherever you will, and whatever you will, I will do thy will. And relax. Okay. Ooh. Oh, I don't know about you, but that was a good session for me. All right, I know we've got some questions. So, Michelle, why don't you start with questions while everybody who's been doing this exercise comes down? We'll go for the questions. We'll go for some questions, and then I do have a little story to tell. We should call this story time. It should be, what is it, story corner or something? Do they call it in the bookstores? They have a kids corner, story corner, whatever it is. All right, let's have some questions. Do we have any questions, Michelle?
We do.
Or comments, I should say, not necessarily questions.
My phone decided it was going to react to whatever you said, so all of a sudden it was giving me answers to stuff. I don't know what it was.
Okay, all right.
Erla, E-R-L-A, wants to know how can they unblock their crown chakra?
By doing exactly what I just told you to do. As you use the crown chakra, as you visualize energy flowing, what happens is, as you're visualizing this, your whole energy system starts to move, starts to flow in the way that it should. So often we become sick, and a lot of that is because our energy is depleted, or our energy is blocked for whatever reason. Emotionally, if we're stressed emotionally, our energy can be blocked, and we just get stuck. We get stuck on an emotional level, because when we get stuck in a physical sense, emotionally we sort of we sort of seize up almost. It's almost as if we don't know what to do. A little bit like deer in the headlights very often. So using the techniques that we did last time, all the time through. Just if you're new to this, go back and check on the other videos. If you just want to be a participant. If you feel that, you know, you're not inclined to give healing to anyone else right now because you need it, that's okay. Be a little bit selfish. That's all right. Be a little bit selfish with yourself. I advocate selfishness. I think we should all give healing to ourselves before we give healing to others, because that way we make sure that, you know, we're in a good position and we're in a positive place, so that, you know, the energy that we're giving out to others can be positive and can be beautiful and can be glorious. Yes, next question or comment.
We have a lot of comments, but this one I'm going to kind of skip to because we talked about positives and negatives earlier in the show. And Tanya said, I would like to be more positive. My daughter lost her daddy 8 months ago and I'm so sad. I cannot live peacefully because maybe I cannot really accept it.
That's very tough. That's really, really tough. And what you need to do, is it Tanya, did you say? Tanya, what you really need to do is to try, if you can, go back and look at the other healing shows that we've done. Find one that you really like. It might not be today's, or it might be today's, but find a healing session that you really like, you can really relate to, and try and give yourself healing. I already said earlier, you can fast forward. You don't need to listen to me chattering on or nattering on about things. You can go straight to the healing session itself. Healing only lasts 5 to 10 minutes. You don't need to do any more than that. And you need, I think, to give healing to yourself before you can really, you know, as mothers, we tend to put our children before ourselves. Of course, that's what we do. But with your energy, with your grief, with your pain, you do need to give to yourself as well as to your daughter. And I think that that's what you're neglecting to do. So you can do this, and you can listen to us and go through the healing process with us. Or, you know, there are lots of healing tapes out there, meditation tapes. We actually have 4 meditation tapes, and people like to use those very often. So, you know, just if we can help in any way, please let us know. And you know, let us know if you do try to do this. Please let us know if it's working, or if you need a little extra help. I would love to put you on our healing list, Tanya, if you'd like us to. And you just need to let Michelle know. Go to chat and say, yeah, put me on there. Or email us, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. And if you email us and you put in the subject line healing, then we know straight away. Michelle can process straight away what it is you need, and you'll be put on our healing list. And when you're put on the healing list, that means that anyone who joins me, and 11 a.m. is wherever you are in the world. If you just connect, it doesn't matter that, you know, 11 a.m. for me is 4 a.m. in England. 4 p.m. in England. It doesn't matter. Just click on that 11 a.m. We do it every morning. We send out maybe, less than 5 minutes, but I send healing to all of the people on my healing book, and those who join with me, Hands Around the World, also do the same thing. So collectively, there's an awful lot of energy going out there into the universe. And so if you would like to be on our healing book, that will happen to you. My team and I will send you healing every single day. Please let us know how you're doing, darling, and if we can help in any other way. Yeah, Michelle. Sorry.
1 second. She responded back that yes, she'd like to be on the healing page, so I'm putting her and her daughter on.
Okay, great.
Lori's having computer problems. She said that she's not getting, it's buffering and stuff, but she's stubborn and she's trying to stick through it.
Good. Anything else we've got there?
Yes, hold on.
She can't type fast enough is the problem. That's what it is. Come on. Is
I
it
know,
story
I'm
time?
horrible.
Maybe I'll tell a story while she's playing around with it. Or are there any other questions or comments before you do what you need to do?
We have a thank you so much. I'm feeling a million times better. Lori said that Wendy's having a terrible time with her ear infection, and so I added Wendy to our healing page too.
I spoke to Wendy yesterday, but there we are.
That's it. So let's go to story time.
Okay, so I always do it in these our healing sessions. I always do like to give a story of healing, and this may sound to be sort of like a grim and a little bit of a gruesome story, but actually it starts off a little bit grim, but it's a really truly wonderful story. I had a friend who was a healer who called me one day and said, I've got this patient, I don't know what to do with him, can I bring him to you? And so he came along with this young man whose name, of course, I've totally forgotten, but we're going to call him Stephen just for this show because that's the first name that popped into my head. So Stephen came along to me, and I'm going to say that he was probably about 21, 22 years old at the time, and he had tried to commit suicide at least 7 or 8 times. Now, the background to this was that his father left his mother when he was about 2 years old. So his mother and his grandmother brought him up. Now, unfortunately, his mother was a very, very bitter person, a very bitter lady, and his grandmother sort of bought into it a little bit. So Stephen grew up from the age of 2 years old in a very, very negative environment. Worse still, that negative environment, thanks to his mother, and in part thanks to his grandmother, that they all lived in the same house, and the two women had not one good word to say about men, and they spent the majority of their lives disparaging men, telling their little boy that, don't trust men, men are awful, men are this, men are that, so on and so forth. I can't imagine that they would have realised that sooner or later Stephen would grow up and he too would be a man. By the time Stephen was probably 10 or 12 years old, he had an enormous inferiority complex because all his mother did was disparage his father continually, 10 years later and then 20 years later. He's a no good, he's a nothing, he's a man, he's this, that and the other. So anyway, we don't realise, I think, a lot of us, that what we say and do, even if we think our children aren't listening, even if we think they can't hear what we're saying, of course they do and they can. Children are very smart, very clever, and they totally know, things that we try to keep from them. So this little boy had grown up and had, listened to the fact that his father was a no good. He considered, therefore, he must be a no good. And every time he looked in the mirror, from the age of about 12 or 13, as he was reaching puberty, he saw, the makings of an ugly, horrible man. And it really did a number on him. So, over the course of the next few years, he, as I say, tried to take his own life several times. When he was brought to me, both arms, the entirety of both arms, were so badly cut and scarred that it was an appalling sight. Now, was he trying to take his own life, or was he actually calling out for help? And I think it was more the latter, that he was calling out for help. Now, how did I find out what was wrong with this boy? Well, it was very simple for me, because by this time both his mother and his grandmother had passed, and when he was brought to my house, they couldn't wait to get in touch with him. They were tapping me on the shoulder, and they really wanted to, to make themselves known. the grandmother, thank goodness, had realized what she'd done and was very remorseful. And it was she who told me the story of how her daughter, Stephen's mother, had been so aggressively against men, wouldn't have any photos in the house of men, disparaged men on a daily basis, so to the point of, craziness almost. The mother, however, was not a bit remorseful and just wouldn't accept that she might have had something to do with the fact that her son was completely and utterly and desperately confused. Now, because nobody really knew the full story, nobody up to this point had been able to say to Stephen, your mother's a crazy person and your grandmother's admitting that she was wrong. Nobody had been able to say to him, your mother's wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. You're a glorious, gorgeous human being. You're a wonderful man. You have the makings of being a wonderful man. Nobody had been able to reassure him. Nobody had been able to tell him that there was actually nothing wrong with him. And the reason that nobody was able to tell him that was because he was very shy, kept to himself, extremely confused young man, never spoke about what was going on in his home. Nobody knew. Now, how many of you listening does this apply to? How many of you have had awful childhoods, or you've had people who've abused you emotionally or very often physically? How many people do you know out there who this could have happened to? Because without realizing it, so very often our families and our friends, our life, our situations, our bosses at work, whoever it is, there are people that we meet who, without perhaps realizing it very often, undermine us, make us feel less than we are. And how many of us know exactly what we can do about that? Not that many. So healing is a great thing, and healing brings us balance. Healing helps us to understand that when we receive healing, receiving healing from that God force, from that God source, receiving healing from someone like myself, I don't think that anyone out there is not worth my energy. I think that everyone out there, if they need help, if they need healing, take it. It's yours. I will willingly give it to you. So when healers do their work, they're not judging, they're not saying you're worth it but you're not, because we believe that every one of us is worth the time and the energy that it takes to give healing. So Stephen became my patient, and because I was able to connect with his mother and his grandmother and to explain to him and tell him exactly what had happened since the age of 2 years old, this poor boy who'd had no one to talk to suddenly was able to open up because he knew that I knew. And because I knew, he knew that I was going to bring some common sense and some sensibility to the issue. It took a few months, and we finally got through to him, and he started to grow and he started to learn and he started to believe in himself because I believed in him and my team believed in him. So if we believed in him, perhaps he thought maybe he could start to believe in himself as well. So my friend, the healer who had brought Stephen to me, kept in touch with Stephen once I was done, once I'd done my job. I passed him back to my friend, and several months later, maybe even a year or two later, I was parking the car in a car park. I was going to give a demonstration of my abilities. So I was getting ready to gear up to a big event, and so I'm parking the car, and I pulled out of the car park, and I hear this voice shouting, Rosemary, it's you. And I see this young man, bright, smiling, his face is glowing, his eyes are glowing, he looks lovely, he looks smart and handsome. I barely recognized that this was Stephen, who had come to me worthless, feeling nothing, feeling that he didn't want to live anymore, feeling confused, all because he'd lived with someone who was a miserable and a negative human being and had passed that negative energy to him. You see, I'm sort of coming full circle here. Negative energy is harmful. Negative energy can be dangerous. When you have your little children with you, I don't care what it takes. It's about them. It's not about us. So get over yourself, get over your own issues, get over your own problems, and show your children how to be positive and how to find joy. I was able to show Stephen how to find the joy in life. I was not the only one doing this. I had a team working with me, and of course my friend Mick was the healer who brought him to me. He was giving him healing, nurturing, building this young man's self-worth. And the thing about it was that this young man believed, because we believed in him, he believed that he could do it. So as I've said, a little bit of a gruesome story. It starts off with someone trying desperately to either take his own life or to scream out for attention. It's hard though, when people scream out for attention, it's hard to know. If we don't know why they're trying to get attention, we don't always notice and we don't always see. We're only human ourselves. We cannot save everyone. But because his grandmother, and thank goodness, and I will be forever grateful to her, she put her own self and her own thoughts and feelings aside. She had realized, watching him, as she was in the spirit world, watching him, she had realized exactly what she and his mother had done to this boy, and filled him with all this negativity and not given him a chance to be the man he could be. Thank goodness that she was able to come through. And the mother, I'm not sure if she'll ever get it. Who cares? As long as Stephen got it, and as long as he was healthy and happy at last, and he is, that was all that was a concern. So healing works, and healing works in mysterious ways. It works for people who are sick physically. It works for people who are sick emotionally, spiritually, in every way. So that's my story for today, and I'm ready again for any comments or questions or anything at all that's going on there, Michelle.
There's no like one on.
Well, didn't you say that someone had a question about chakras right at the beginning of the show? And we haven't had that question yet. Oh, we did?
Yeah, how to unblock
was that?
their
Oh,
crown
the
chakra.
crown chakra. Oh, that was it. Okay.
That was it.
All right. Anything else going on?
Giovanna says hello.
Hi, Giovanna.
Tanya, I gave her the email for the office so she can email us because she'd like to talk about a consultation.
Okay.
They're asking if you're going to be in Italy anytime soon.
Well, it's funny you should ask. Isn't it funny that question should come up? Today, we had an email just today inviting me to
a conference.
Yeah, but what city was it in?
Pescara?
No, that's not right.
I think it is.
Is it?
I think it is.
Anyway, in October, whether or not we should be able to go is a whole other thing. We have to, I'd love to go, and I've always said, if I'm invited anywhere in the world, as long as you pay for my expenses, I'm good. So if I'm invited, of course I'd love to go. So we just replied, I think that yes, we'd like more information. We are interested. I don't know anything about this event, but it's a yearly event. It's been going on for 10 years. So watch this space is all I can say to you. If we go, I think this town is about, I think it's in about 90 miles from Rome, which is, it's an hour and a half's drive, isn't it? So you all need to sort of plan, and if you know anything at all about the event or the people who are organising the event, and of course once we know more, we only had the email today, once we know more we will be able to tell you, but you've got to bombard them with requests and tickets and where can I get them. So you've got to do your job if you want me to come to Italy, which I would love to do. I am actually coming to Italy earlier, but it will be purely for a vacation with my daughter and grandson, hopefully. But in October we've been invited to this event. So if we can work it out with the people who are organising it, and if we can make it happen, we shall we shall let you know. Any other comments or questions before we close?
Brittany says, hello, Rosemary. Love from
Brittany.
Chicago.
Hi. Oh, golly, Chicago, it's got to be really cold there, right? It's so cold here, you'll not believe me when I tell you this. I said to Michelle this morning, do you know it was 60 degrees here this morning? It's so cold. And Michelle said when she got up it was 34 degrees. This is Florida. We don't get those kinds of temperatures very often. But here I am wearing a sweater and an undershirt, and Michelle's wearing a sweater, and I've got the heat on. I don't know what the temperature is now outside, but anyway, I've got the heat on. It's Florida. I shall, as soon as we've done this show, though, I'm turning it off because it is now like an oven in here. I'm gasping. Are you gasping?
I'm dying.
She's dying, she says. Not really, but so it's very hot here. But Chicago, oh, you poor thing. It's freezing there. Although, if you like ice skating, as my daughter does, or if you like skiing, it's probably a good place to be. Anything else we've got there?
And we have Tanya. She says, hi, Rosemary. You look great today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Mary is on.
I've been shorn. Did you all notice that I've been shorn?
Mary's on. She says, it's nice to hear and see you today.
Nice to hear, and well, I don't see you, but nice to hear you too, Mary. Thank you.
She wants to know if you think it's cold because of global warming.
Not even thought about global warming. All I know is I had my heat on last night. I turned it off because I don't like it on when I'm in bed, but I did put an extra blanket on the bed. So, because I don't do well in the cold. And then this morning I looked at the temperature because the heat wasn't on, and it was 60. I thought, let's switch that heat up a bit, which is what I did. But now we can hardly breathe. You go into my bathroom, there's a heating vent in the bathroom, and it's like it's like walking into a hot house in the summertime. Anything else we've got there?
It says that right now it's 55 degrees outside.
Oh, it's cold. It's 55. For all of you out there who I know it's freezing, I know it's a lot cold. It's 55. That's cold for Florida. But we're all right. We're all tucked up nicely. Anything else you want to ask? Anything else there? Anyone
I think
else?
we're pretty good unless somebody else has something that they want to say. We'll give it just a minute. I like that story today.
Did you?
I did.
We get so many people that people are always asking me when I do conferences or we do workshops or what have you. People come up to me and they've read my story. Probably it's The Eagle and the Rose, and they say, well, how did you forgive your parents? And we've talked about this before on this show. I don't believe in forgiveness personally. It's not that I don't believe we shouldn't forgive. I just believe that I am not qualified to forgive. What I think is more important is acceptance of the fact that, we talked about Stephen and his mother and his grandmother. Unfortunately, Stephen's mother allowed her anger and her bitterness to consume her and therefore to affect her son. But, sometimes we don't know what to do. We don't know how to get out of that situation, and this is why healing is so important. And this is how we can get out of those situations that consume us. I was very lucky. I had a mother who was angry and bitter and spiteful and often cruel. Well, I know you're looking at me thinking, is she mad? She just said she's lucky. Well, I was very lucky because every day as a child growing up, I looked at her. I looked at the meanness in her face. I looked at when she was leaning over me and being mean or spiteful or aggressive, or when she'd just lash out and hit you. She got a great backhander, my mother. She could send you flying down the hall with one tap of her hand. She'd really could use it. And I grew up with that, and why, I've no idea, but I grew up with that, knowing that I never wanted to be that way. I never wanted to be that miserable. And I can remember my mother leaning over me once and really, really sort of giving it what for. And I kept looking at her face, and her face was so contorted. She reminded me of the Wicked Witch of the bad one in The Wizard of Oz, the East or the West, or whatever, the East I think it is, anyway, whatever it was. She reminded me of that Wicked Witch, and I remember as she's leaning over me, thinking, for whatever reason, thinking, oh, I hope I don't look like that. And I remember running afterwards upstairs, looking in the mirror to look at my face to see if I looked like my mother in any way, and I determined right then and there, that's never going to happen to me. And it never happened to me because I determined it. I was determined I was going to smile no matter what. I was determined I was going to laugh and find the joy in life. I was determined that I was not going to be like my mother. And so the reason I'm saying I'm so grateful is because my mother taught me how not to be. My role in life is to teach my daughter and my grandson how to be. Your role, anyone out there listening, please, please, please take this to heart. Your role is to teach your children how to be. And that is to find the joy in life, to find the humour in life, and to laugh. And that's what we do. We giggle, we laugh, we love, we kiss, we cuddle, we do all those things. And for those of you who don't do that, whether it's with your kids, your grandkids, your puppies, your whoever it is, you know, I'm sad for you. Go out, get a dog, lavish every bit of attention you can on that dog. Find the joy in life is what I'm saying. I think that's it. Yes?
We have a couple questions.
Yeah. Of course, I'm just about to wind up. Yes?
It's always what happens.
Okay.
Brittany is on.
Oh, by the way, do you like my new earrings? A gift from my grandson, which cost me far more than I thought they were going to cost me. Anyway, that's a whole other story. All right, yes?
Brittany is on, and she says, my grandma suffers from Alzheimer's, and she lost her youngest son, my uncle, about a year ago.
Oh, dear.
But she's constantly looking for him outside and says he's waiting for her. Do you think that this is in her mind, or is he really coming to her?
No, I think he really is. And I think he is waiting for her. I think that's wonderful. That's really wonderful. Anything else?
Yep. And then our friend Jan.
Yes, Jan.
Says, hi, Rosemary and Michelle.
Hi, darling.
I just happened to find that you're online. Unfortunately, I think I have the same type of virus that you had. I'm on day 8.
Oh.
Please send me some
Jan, we're here, buckets full. We'll send you healing, absolutely.
And she says, my friend of over 40 years passed on the 14th. I'm sad for both me and his family. So I put them all on the healing list.
Oh, great. Well, we'll send you buckets of healing. Yes. Anything else? We often miss, and if we miss them, it's because Michelle, she's only one person.
And
we don't deliberately, what?
I multitask.
She multitasks, yeah. We don't deliberately ignore anyone. We really don't. Even those difficult ones, we'll give everybody an opportunity if we can, providing everybody is polite and nice and kind. They're the rules in this house.
Jan says, thank you very much. Yes, it's awful.
Yeah.
Brittany said that she loves your advice. And thank you. And I think we're done.
Okay. If you, as you're watching this, as you're participating in the healing process, if you get a sense of anything happening physically, emotionally, whatever, let us know, because we'd like to hear those stories too. If you feel that you're healing from us is working. We always like to sort of have updates from our patients. So please, feel free to do that, to send us any information that you want. Now, if you want to contact us again, email us rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. If you want a consultation, put it in the subject line. If you want healing, put it in the subject line. If you want to be on our mailing list, you have to request it. We will not automatically put you on the mailing list. So, and I think what we were talking about earlier on, the Italy thing and other things that we'll be doing. We're going to be doing some, hopefully, we keep talking about it. We haven't found a server is the problem.
We haven't found a platform.
We haven't found a platform to do our conferences. If you know of a platform that we could use, or that you know of someone who's had a good experience with that, we'd love to know that as well. So whatever the subject is, put it in the subject line of your email. Email us rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com, and we will do our very best to answer you as soon as possible. So in the meantime, I know that other things keep popping up here. What? Quickly. Quickly.
Giovanna says, I'm very worried about my son David. He's 7 years old and has Asperger's syndrome. I'm so afraid for his future. He's very intelligent but naive. Please send us lots of light.
We will, absolutely, my darling. And, just keep us posted on his progress, will you? That's very difficult. It's so difficult for the parents. I do hope that you've got lots of friends and family who are supporting you in this, because in these certain situations, that's what you need. But we certainly will be sending you healing. We'll be sending your son healing. We'd love to have his name, if he has a name. David. I love that name. If I had a little boy, I'd call him David, I think. Anyway, that's beside the point. But it's a beautiful name. I have very fond memories of a David in the spirit world. Maybe I'll tell you that story another time. Anyway, we will try and support you in every way we can, but don't be afraid to reach out. There are lots of organisations out there who help with situations and circumstances like that. Of course, you all know that I will always recommend the Sally Army. Go to the Salvation Army. If they don't help or can't help, they will put you in touch with someone who can. The Salvation Army is my go-to. They are brilliant, but there are many organisations out there, so please do not be afraid to ask for help and support. Often you get it from parents who are going through exactly the same thing, and they can be wonderful support system for you. So please don't be afraid to do that, my darling. Anything else?
Tanya says, have a great day, you too.
We will. But I tell you one thing I will not be doing today. I will not be going out. I will not be gardening. It's far too cold. It's 55 degrees. Oh, gosh, it's freezing. I'm thinking of my friend Chris, who called me the other day wearing a big, puffy coat and a hat, and a scarf and gloves. I said, oh dear, it looks, she's freezing. Her nose was red, and no, I'm not laughing. I'm just glad I'm here, even though it is 55 degrees and freezing here. I love it here. So until I see you all again we will be here next Wednesday. We're back on track. Christmas is over. My cough, excuse me, my cough is getting much better. My back is sort of on and off, but anyway, I'm sitting here. We're still going to do it. Tomorrow we shall be doing our The Spirit World Sees All. We shall be on YouTube doing that. If you want to have the link to that, just again email us rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com if you don't know anything about it. It will be 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we always upload it or download it or whatever that is that we do. And you can always find all of my previous shows on YouTube. Just write in my name, and then you'll find me. I'm sure you will. And if you have a struggle, again, email us, and Michelle will send you the link to find us. Until tomorrow, if I see you again tomorrow, or until the next time I see you, please have a very, very blessed remainder of the day, and we'll see you very, very soon. positively and sending healing there.